Alright, you may have killed me a couple times, but this time I have you. Alright, that's a lot of blades. I can still do this, all I need is focus. I need 1-2 good hits. Just have to block your blades and attack. Keep throwing enemies at you and that will hurt. I need to end this in one hit, one big hit and I'll be good. And I missed. Alright, just one hit. All I need is one more hit. Block, hold, and I got skewered. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, I am SocioPsycho and this is Mob Reviews, and today we're going to take a look at Fairy Blossom Freesia. This is created by Edelc for PC. It's a cute anime beat-em-up style combat game, 2D, and let's see exactly how well that handles. And as always, we'll begin in the options menu. Now the options menu for a 2D game is always going to be basic. They do have a large variable screen resolution, so that's definitely appreciated. One thing that is slightly annoying is the fact that if you change anything in this options menu on the graphic part, it will not reset once you exit the screen, but for each individual setting. So that's a little bit annoying. Not a huge deal. Once you set it, it's good. Now the game's been running easily at 60 frames per second. I have not had any tearing, clipping, or crashing. Performance-wise, the game is done quite well by me. In game settings, you have simply language, as this is a Japanese-based game and the audio is not translated over to English, but it doesn't really matter because all the written story element through the game has been translated, so you don't really lose much. Now, as you can also see, you have a large variable of choices when it comes to the music. I found the music in the game to actually be quite well. It helps propel the atmosphere and keep the tempo up throughout the game, but you have plenty of options to turn it off. Certain elements you do, so that's something you don't often see, and it's nice. In controllers, now this is probably one of the most confusing aspects of the game. It took me a little bit to find out which keys I need to actually use because it didn't really tell you. If you're not using an actual controller and using a keyboard like myself, then Z, X, C, and V, along with your arrow keys, are going to be your main keys in navigating the different menus and in the combat. Now, gallery, you'll have a lot of things that open up in time. Awards, which are achievements, as there are a lot of achievements in this game. I believe there are 50. And you can see the statistics of what you've played. Now, you'll be able to get through the game depending on your experience or personal skill in these styles of games. You may fly through the game in an hour and a half, or it may take you around 3 hours to beat the game. I myself am not all that amazing at these style of games, but this one definitely did hit the mark. And we'll begin talking about a simple note, which is the story. The story element in the game is nothing over convoluted, it's not anything with a huge amount of depth. You play as Freesia, and you are a fairy of the forest that is protecting it against invaders. Now the maps as you progress through do change up a little bit, so it is a little bit of a different environmental feel, but the written story is held together good enough. It doesn't take itself too seriously, but doesn't at the same time try to be a goofball just because it's anime. It finds a happy medium and sits there quite well. I never found the story to be unwelcoming or overburdening. The times that it did play, it didn't come on so much that I couldn't enjoy a steady flow of combat. I got a large dose of combat, and then I got to relax a little bit and read a little bit of a story, then I got another large dose of combat. So the pacing of the story is actually quite well, and it's written fairly well. Obviously, you're not going to be playing this game looking for some storybook novel level of written literature. So if that's what you're hoping for, then you're going to be disappointed. But the story does exactly what it needs to. So how does the game handle? And we're going to go over the skill system and the interface you have after each fight. As you can see, the character progression that you have before we talk about the fluidity of the combat. So let's talk about the interface first. And as you can see, you have your stats, which is your level, your health, strength, physical, and magic defense, and your magic to utilize spells. So let's go to training, and training is very simple. You have this little sort of battleground where you're just able to test out maybe a new ability you have or some combos that you're trying to pull off. It's a good place to just get a little bit more experience if that's what you're looking for. in your systems, pretty simple as we've already gone over. And use mana is what really matters. Now, you have 3 different options in this page, and after each battle, you will gain experience points which you can buy abilities in. Now, some abilities will be passive and they will add a bonus to your capabilities during combat, but others are used abilities which you can take into battle bound to keys. So if you want to buy one, it's as simple as just clicking on it, and once you have it, boom, as you can see. So there is a lot of basic attacks to begin with, and then you have special attacks, which are like basic, but obviously very special. Ooh. They just add a little bit more extra power and allow you to feel more progressed as you continue through the game, or give you more option into exactly what style of combat that you want to play if you're taking a activated ability into combat over some others. And in the options, these are more of your character upgrade capabilities, such as regeneration or increase your strength and HP boost, physical boost, different variables which allow you to customize your playstyle a little bit more to your personality, and that's not something you really see too often in a game, and it's definitely nice to see in a game of this lower quality. And last, in the skills, these are simply the action keys you have available during combat, which you are capable of binding a certain special ability to, which will give you more of a feel of personalization, because not only can you choose which direction you want your ability to be bound to, but also which ability you take in, so that's definitely appreciated. The interface is very sleek and very nice, and it does have a progression which is very comfortable to the character. Moving right into combat, the combat has a simplistic beauty about it. It has a fast-paced, action-oriented style of combat with a multitude of enemies and challenging bosses. Now, some of these bosses, yes, you will have to play it once or twice, and depending on the difficulty level of the game which you select and your personal skill, how much trouble or difficulty you have against these enemies will always fall down to personal. But it definitely has a high-paced tempo, which allows you to feel satisfied. Because it's throwing so many enemies at you, but you're able to use very fancy-looking destructive powers and quick attack patterns, you feel like, oh yeah, I'm a badass because I'm just ripping through all of these forces in such a very high, fast-paced manner. There is no time gap in between your attacks unless you get hit. You can have a continuational momentum of combos to strike your enemy on, and as you gain more powers, you upgrade your character. As you progress through the game, the combat is reflected in that progression. Yes, you will see more difficult enemies, and some maps, although it is a 2D game and it's relatively simple on the map layout, there is a little bit of a variation throughout the game in the environment, and this can add also a challenge. I am not one who really enjoys these styles of games, but I did enjoy my time in this one. Because it never said you're not good enough, or haha you died, or you progressed this far but all the time you put in me was for nothing. While you may not have a gear system, you do have a leveling up system, so my character feels progressed, and that feeling of progression is shown and added to even more during the combat. It was quite enjoyable. So at the end of the day, the controls are a little bit annoying at first to get used to. They really do. Now you may be able to rebind them, especially if you have a controller, to suit something that fits you better. I was able to get around it just by continuation of muscle memory, but it wasn't a huge detriment to the game. With the nice intermission interface that they have, going and splitting up the story from the combat, and large chunks of the game being more combat than story, and the story not taking itself overly seriously, the game does relay a decent enough atmosphere where you don't feel that your time is being wasted. It may not have the graphics that everybody's looking for in this style of genre, it may not be serious enough, or some other areas, and that's perfectly fine. As a consumer, that's your right. But I never felt that it disrespected my time. And so, whether it be some AAA fighting game that looks death-defying, or it's a cute little anime game like this, what matters is how it handles and plays. And I enjoyed my time through it. I felt powerful, I felt accomplished, and I felt progression. So ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoy this style or genre, this is an easy recommend. It may look very artistically basic, but it delivers a wallop, and it has plenty of content for the price point offer. So I have been SocioPsycho, and this has been Mob Reviews. I thank you for watching, and I hope this has been of help to you, and I'll see you next time.